These are the AMA trigger lines, and then we also have red dotted line here, and the blue dotted line is the AMA ATR trailing stop indicator as well from this screenshot here that was sent in. What we're going to do in Blackbird, so now that we have the BloodHound signals built in Blackbird, when we get a signal, place an entry order, a limit entry order. All right, there we go. So Blackbird's up on the chart. So let's open up Blackbird. So we're going to use the order settings button here to open up Blackbird. There we go. And so the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to load in our BloodHound signals that were built for this. And let's see. So we're going to go to signals and then go to BloodHound signals and then open up the menu again and then go to template files. And so now we have the BloodHound interface open. So let's click on File, and there is the workshop, or the BloodHound file from the workshop, I should say. And let's take a look at the logic template. So we'll do the trailing stop system here, and there we go. All right, so there's all the nodes. Everything looks like it's connected up correctly, so good. And let's click OK. And then the next step is to set in or set up our entry signal template. So here's the list of logic templates from BloodHound. And so we just want the first one, the trailing stop system. There's our entry signals. All right, so this doesn't have any exit signals, so we're going to leave that blank. All right, I'm just going to click OK for now, because what I want to do is, you'll notice there's a message down here that tells you to reload the chart. So every time you add your BloodHound signals, or if you add a third-party, based signals there, BloodHound's going to tell you to reload the chart, so that way that indicator can be loaded onto the chart. So, so we just need to reload the Ninja script there. There we have it. And next, so now you'll see, right, there's a blue button on the chart now for BloodHound. And so this is BloodHound right down here running inside of Blackbird. So once we get the BloodHound signals loaded onto the chart, next we're going to select the logic template for the entry signals, like so. There we go. And so I just want to make sure that all these signals look correct. And yeah, I think so. I think all these signals look correct. There, we'll stretch these out a little bit. All right, so let's get Blackbird back open again, and let's start setting up some of these orders. So the entry is going to be a market order. So let's just set that as a market order. All right, so when you're setting up your order set, you always start with your entry order type first, and then you can move on to your profit target or stop loss next, whichever one you want to do next. So let's see, the profit target will be the easy one. So let's just do, if you notice here, I'm just going to use the 10 tick to start with. Right, so we have a quick list here. So I'll just start with the 10 tick one, and we will adjust this for 4 points on the ES. So that's going to be 16 ticks. So let's just increase this here. Oop, a little too much there. There we go. 16 ticks for the ES. All right, so you'll notice that for offsets, we have ticks, or if you want to do an ATR based offset, that's what this indicator section is for down here. So this indicator section, right, allows you to go and select an indicator such as the ATR, right, that's going to give you a point based offset distance. Right, so the ATR, yeah, what it's providing you is a point based average true range, right, of the bars there. So that's what this indicator is for, is for indicators that give you an offset distance, that calculate an offset distance, right? So if you have an indicator that actually plots where your profit targets should go, do not put them in this section down here. This is not for indicators that actually plot the profit target location, all right? Yeah, if you have an indicator that gives you a profit target location, then you need to change the mode here. So this mode, we need to change it from price to indicator value. And so this indicator up on top is where you can select indicators that actually literally plot the price location of where your profit target should be, right, or stop loss. But in this case, yeah, we're not using such an indicator. We're just going to use a fixed offset there. So there's our profit target. Yeah, so one thing to note here. So obviously, you can see that, you know, if you want to do a point-based offset, that you'll need to adjust this for whatever indicator you're using. So at some point, you know, we will get this updated and add a few more options to the offset, but that's gonna require, you know, a pretty, you know, a reworking of this whole lower section of the menu to get that incorporated. So for the meantime, right, we just have tick offsets there. All right, so there's our profit target. So now let's move on to the stop loss. Yeah, so we're just going to set the stop loss at the ATR trailing stop. Yeah, so the new information here is the stop loss is not going to start trailing the indicator right away. We're going to wait for this break even to happen first. So we're going to wait for this break even. So this break even is basically, it's going to be 1 point minus 1 tick. So basically 3 ticks. So we want the market to move at least 3 ticks here before moving that stop loss, or before the stop loss starts trailing our indicator here. So let's see. All right, so I'm going to use this parabolic SAR quick list here. So you can see in the stop loss, we have a bunch of quick lists that you can select from just to kind of get you started here. But I'm going to go down to the trailing one. And so we have a parabolic SAR one here with trailing. And so the reason why I'm going to use this one is I can just, it'll basically set things up for me, save me a little bit of time, and then I just go in and replace the parabolic SAR with the trailing stop indicator that Hines actually wants to use there. So let's select this one, and then we're going to open up the stop loss. And the first thing is we'll go into the initial placement here, and let's replace the parabolic SAR with the trailing stop here. So one thing to note is this trailing stop and the trigger lines indicator are from Lizard Indicators. So this was all discussed in the BloodHound workshop there. So if you watch the BloodHound workshop part, it'll show you where to get these Lizard indicators from. All right, so let's select the trailing stop indicator there. And let's see here, my settings. All right, so the multiplier is 1.2. And the period, let's see, where is the period? There you go. The range period is 14. All right. And so we want our stop loss to be placed on the stop dot plot, right? So we can see the dots where the dots are, or you can use the stop line. So as we can see, the lines and the dots actually plot on top of each other. So it doesn't really matter which plot you use, but we'll just keep it where it's at right now. And there we go. We're done. Yep, basically done. Actually, I'm just noticing here. Yeah. So I'm noticing, I'm looking at the signals on the chart here. So let's take a look at this first short signal here. So when the signal occurs, the indicator is down here where price is at. So actually the indicator hasn't flipped yet. So we can't place the stop loss at the trailing stop indicator yet, right? We have to wait for the next bar to close before the indicator, right, flips sides, right? So what we're going to need to do is change our initial placement. Let's see here. Let's set our initial placement. Yeah, let's do this. I'll just use my artistic discretion here, and I'll place the stop loss basically at the bar high or the bar low, depending on if it's a long trade or a short trade. Yeah, so if it's a long trade, I'll set it at the bar low, like so. And then if it's a short trade, the stop loss will be placed at the bar high. And let's see here. So probably if the ATR stop, if the ATR trailing, or no, I'm sorry, this is just trailing stop. No, it is the ATR trailing stop. Okay. Yeah, so if the ATR trailing stop indicator, if we could extend it, back onto the signal bar, actually my guess is it looks like it'd be about one tick above it. So I'll just add a one tick offset as well to the bar low or bar high. Okay, so that's our initial placement, right? So that basically that's going to substitute for the fact that the indicator, isn't plotting on the right side of the bar yet, not yet here, right? So once we get our break even to trigger on the stop loss, then we can then start trailing the ATR trailing stop after that. Let's see. All right, so let's open up our stop loss again. So that's our initial location, the bar high or low, minus a tick or plus a tick. And next, let's go into the trailing actions. And let's see here. Let's add the break-even rule first. And then we're going to come back and edit this parabolic SAR trailing rule here, right? So we can see we already have this one trailing rule in here, right? That came from the quick list when I picked that parabolic SAR trailing stop loss. And we're just going to replace the parabolic SAR with the ATR trailing stop indicator, right? So that's in here. So there's the parabolic SAR. So we'll do this last. Let's add the break even first. All right, so we have a break even minus 1. Yeah, break even minus 1. There we go. So in this case, break even is going to be 3 ticks. So this will be for the ES here. Actually, I'll just go three ticks and just put a little comment there for the ES. All right, so we'll move to break even minus 1 when we get to 3 ticks of profit. So first thing we need to do is set up this 3 ticks of profit, which is going to trigger. So once we get to 3 ticks of profit, that's going to trigger this trailing rule, which will then move to break even. So we're going to use the trigger here to set up 3 ticks of profit. Now, in the trigger rules, just a little side note here, with the trigger rules, if you do want to use points, we can use points with the profit or loss, and we can see the mode here. Actually, we'd want to set that to profit. And then for the units, we can select points, right? Yeah, we can select points there. So you can't mix and match points and ticks. You can only use ticks or points, whichever unit you want to use there. So let's see here. So actually, yeah, you know what? I think we can, well, let's find out. Let's see if I can put in 3/4. Well, actually, I guess that's not going to be beneficial. Yeah, because if you're on a different instrument, say if you're trading an instrument where there's 10 ticks per point, I guess 0.75 wouldn't work out there. You know, that would not be 1 point minus 1 tick. Yeah, so so putting in 0.75 points, you know, that's going to work for the ES, right? Because one tick on the ES is 1/4 of a point, but that's not going to work for other instruments here. So yeah, so I'm not going to use the profit or loss. I just wanted to point out that you do have the option of using points there if you need to do that. So, but let's go back to using a delay here. So the delay is a little easier to set up. It's a little quicker here. So I'm just going to enable ticks of movement in a profitable direction. So you can see we have ticks of movement in a profitable direction, or we can monitor the market if it moves in a loss direction or either direction, you know, points of movement, you know, things like that, right? So there's various units here that we can monitor the the market for. So what we're going to do is ticks of movement here, knock this down to 3 ticks there, right? 3 ticks. So that's 1 point minus 1 tick on the ES. So it leaves us with 3 ticks. All right. So that there is how we monitor this 3 points of profit there, is in the trigger. And then the action, you know, what are we going to do? We're going to move that stop loss to, so we don't want to move it to the last price, right? So that's the last price in NinjaTrader basically is the market price. We actually want to move it to the entry price, right there. Right. So what is break even? Break even is your entry price, right? There we go. And the repeat, there's no, right? You can only move to break even once, so there is no repeat. So we're just going to leave the repeat alone. Just leave it on no repeat there. So that's our break even rule right there. And so once we move to break even, now we can adjust or replace the parabolic SAR with the ATR trailing stop. So before we start trailing, we need to make sure that this break even occurs first, right? So we need to put a delay in the trailing rule as well. So let's click on delay, and we'll knock this down to 4 ticks, right? So the break even is going to occur at 3 ticks, and so we want the trailing to start, right, 1 tick afterwards. So once we get to 4 ticks of profit. So, all right. So now the action is going to be to trail the ATR trailing stop indicator. So let's replace the parabolic SAR here. Right, so we're going to switch out this parabolic SAR indicator and go up to our lizard indicators folder, and we want the ATR trailing stop indicator. And again, make sure you put in the correct settings for your indicator here so that it matches what's on the chart. So there we go. There's those 2 adjustments. And I think we're done. Yeah, I think that does it here. There. All right, so one other thing to do here is to set up the contract scaling here. All right, so to set up this here, actually I probably should do that. There we go. So our money management rule here is we're going to take the account size and risk 2% of the account size there. And that's going to automatically adjust the number of contracts here. Right? So we want a 2 contract minimum here. So we're going to set this, our order set, we're going to set the number of contracts to 2. And then also we're going to open up the options here for this order set. And in the options, right, we have quantity scaling. And so we want to turn off the downscaling, right, because we don't want anything less than 2 contracts there. So we're going to turn off the downscaling and leave the upscaling on. We're going to leave that on here. So we can see right now by default it allows BlackBird to add a maximum of 10 contracts. So the upscaling can be left at 2 contracts, but it can go all the way up to 12 contracts. Right? So that's an additional 10 contracts that we're allowing BlackBird to increase up to. So if you want to change this, so maybe you don't want 12 contracts, maybe you want a few less, then there we go. What we can do is adjust the acceptable variance, right? So if we don't want 12 contracts, let's say only 10 contracts maximum, we can knock this down to 8, right? And so 2 contracts plus 8 would be a maximum of 10. So now we can see here the maximum number of contracts is from 2 to 10, right? So we can control, let's enable that again, so we can control the upscaling, and you can also control the downscaling of the number of contracts there. All right, so we'll leave it at that for now. Actually, here, I'll put this back to default. There we go. We'll leave it on the default there. All right, so we have a minimum of 2 contracts and a maximum of 12 contracts. So next step is to go into the money management rules and actually enable the risk per trade. We can see by default 2% of the account is set up here, and so the next step is to just put in what size is your account. So right now you do have to manually enter the account size. So as your account size increases or decreases from day to day, you do need to manually adjust this. So for now, how about if we just put in 10,000? I'm not sure what that's going to do, but we'll find out. All right, so with a $10,000 account, we're going to risk 2% of that. And actually, yeah, it's going to be 4 points. Yeah, all right. I think that should work on the 10,000. 2% on the ES should work. Let's see. All right, so let's click OK, and we'll give this a test. We'll give this a little test run here. All right, so I need to switch my data feed over to the simulated data feed here. So kind of what I've noticed is best practice. In theory, I should be able to just disconnect the data feed and the strategy should shut down nice and cleanly. But again, there's always a few weird quirks with NinjaTrader. So I always prefer, when I remember, to turn the strategy off myself first and then disconnect the data feed. Yeah, so let's put on the simulated data feed there. All right, let's move the market down. And now I'm going to enable the strategy. And again, I need to go up to the blue colored BloodHound up here and select my entry signals. There we go. So now I can see my entry signals on the chart there. Actually, I think it's probably going to be faster if I move the market up. Yeah, even these bars are kind of large So it's going to take a little bit to get that market moved up. And what I need to do is get the trigger lines here to roll over, and they're just about ready to reverse, and then we can start generating some long signals. Yeah, Heinz is saying $20,000 account. All right. Yeah, if 10,000 is not enough, we'll check it with 20,000. Oh, and the other thing is I need to enable the auto trading button here. So you guys might have noticed we kind of tweaked the name again here, so we called out the full name here, auto trading button here. All right, so let me, there we go. All right, so I need to pull the market back and then reverse it, and we should get a long signal. All right, I'll let this last bar print down, and now let's reverse it back up. Okay, there we go. All right, so I think we're going to get a long signal once this bar closes. And there we go. And oh, so what happened here? Oh, yeah, so I needed a larger account size. So if you notice down here, this little message tells me that the trade was ignored because the best fit maximum risk of 2%. Yeah, the best fit risk needed was basically 4%. All right, so let me pull the market down. We'll set up for another long signal here. And so let's go in here. So Heinz was right. We need a $20,000 account. But I will see your $20,000 and raise you to $25,000. So, all right. So we'll just plug in 25,000 just for good measure. All right. Let's click OK. And there we go. So let's finish pulling that market down, and we'll generate another long signal. Okay, so again, just a reminder, we need, because we're using BloodHound signals, right, to automate this, you need to have the auto trading button on. All right, so we should get a signal here in just a moment. And there we go. All right, so our stop loss is one tick below the low. And so once this bar closes, it should, actually, let's see. I have a feeling this stop loss is going to move to break even first. Yeah. So it's moving to break even first. And then it's going to take a while before it actually starts trailing here. And what happened? Oh, the market pulled back. And, yep, the market pulled back there. And hit that order there. So that, yeah, break even plus 3 ticks. Yeah, was a little short, a little shy there. So let's try this again. All right, so once this second down bar closes, I'll reverse direction and we'll get another entry signal. There we go. All right, there we go. There's our break even. And I've got the market trend moved way up, so that way we don't risk hitting that stop loss. And so what we want to see is once the indicator flips, there we go. So we can see the ATR trailing stop indicator is way down there, so it needs to get caught up here. And let's move our profit target up so it doesn't get hit. There. So we're waiting for, oh, there we go. Okay, so our ATR trailing stop indicator now is starting to move up. And so now our stop loss is starting to trail up as well. So, all right, so there we have it. So let me just, come on, there we go. Let's neutralize that trend. There, so let's open this up. So let's open up our stop loss. And yeah, I said, right, this was supposed to be a break even -1, and I left out the -1 part. So let's go into the actions. And so there's the entry price. And so we need to just put a -1 in the offset there. So -1 tick offset. Okay, so now it's a break even -1, and we can just save that again. So actually, I just saw another comment from Heinz. He actually wants 4 ticks, not 4 points. All right, so let me go and make a quick adjustment here. And we'll knock this down to 4 ticks, not 4 points. And there we go. And yeah, Heinz is commenting, I guess my bar settings are a little too high, you know, based on, you know, the profit target and the break-even settings. Sure, that makes sense. So again, guys, yeah, you know, don't, so, you know, when you get your questions answered in these workshops, you know, don't expect everything to be set up perfectly, you know, because obviously, you know, when you guys are actually trading, you know, you're probably going to change your bar sizes, change your instruments, you know, so everything kind of changes and is very fluid and dynamic, right? So as you change your instrument, change your bar sizes, you know, then also you need to go in and adjust your profit targets, you know, and or stop loss settings, you know, to kind of fit or match the chart, you know, that you're trading on, right? So again, you know, just so everybody understands, you know, these workshops, you know, aren't here to optimize, you know, your settings, you know, or optimize your questions. You know, it's not here to optimize your profit targets or stop loss. It's, you know, these workshops are here just to show you how to set things up so that you can then, you know, go and make adjustments yourself, right? So once you understand how to set up a profit target, well, then you can go in and make your own adjustments as you see fit on your own time, right?